evening, Papua New Guinea, and welcome to a brand new episode of Business PNG. Tonight on the show, we feature day 2 of the second Petroleum and Energy Summit, in which we speak to Minister for Energy Sam Basil about his thoughts on mining coal in Papua New Guinea. We're now joined by Dr. Feshraki, the founder of the FGE Group. Dr. Feshraki, thank you so much for your time. So tell us a little bit about the oil and gas industry in a more global perspective.
Well, there are the demand for LNG is rising quite rapidly, and the supply is not coming. Basically, that's the story. It's pretty simple. If supply was coming and demand was growing, they would match each other. So now we have lower prices leading to higher demand, but also the buyers are questioning whether I should sign a long-term contract now or I should wait. So most of them have taken a wait-and-see attitude. That means that the new projects which need to be financed, they require a 20-year contract. Those contracts are not being signed. So we will automatically go from a relatively easy surplus market to a massively short market within 4 or 5 years.
Could you give us a perspective of the extractive industries, but more within a PNG context?
So basically, this means that in order to be able to be in that short market, we need to have FID before the end of 2019. If we wait longer, then we'll miss the window, because then other projects will do FID and they go forward. So in the PNG context, there must be a push to try to finalize decision-making about proceeding with the project within the next 12 to 18 months maximum.
So the downturn in the economy has affected the oil and gas, well, the extractive industries in a big way. Can you tell us a little bit about how or what is the way forward from here?
I think in the short term, things look quite good because oil prices are going to go higher and Papua New Guinea will get more money. In the very immediate term, this 8-week delay means that the time that the price of oil is high, the price of LNG is high, Papua New Guinea was not able to capture the revenue. But by the time the trains come back on the stream, is the summer and the lower prices for LNG. So it's nothing that somebody could have planned, but it's a bit unfortunate. But as the price of oil goes up, Papua New Guinea will make more money. In 2018, maybe end up to be a very special year. 2019, pretty good. The fears of going back to $30, $40, $50 oil is not really in front of us anymore.
Sir, while I have you here, I'd be remiss to ask you about the taxes paid by companies in the LNG venture. Now, especially companies like ExxonMobil, the largest shareholder only paid 3.2 million kina in 2016, while Oil Search paid over 37 million kina. Now, this does not seem to make much financial sense. Could you basically speak a little bit about this and what it all means?
I don't know these things. You have to ask Mr. Wapo. But basically, the taxes relate to the price of oil. If you are, the price of oil is low, then you pay no taxes. The price of oil is high, you pay a lot of taxes. So it is really very much linked to the terms of the agreement. The government has been very generous with the companies for the first project. And so the lower oil prices end up with zero income.
I'm Leanne Jorari in Lorengau, and you're watching Business PNG. Thank you, Minister Basil, for your time. Tell us a little bit about what you presented upstairs at the second day of the summit.
Okay, I was given the opportunity on the second day of the summit. It's all focused on energy. And for the first time, I think energy was separated from the petroleum ministry. And we are now working independently in terms of putting a policy. And the policy has been approved by NEC, and now we are working on the bill of our National Energy Authority bill. I will be presenting that to Parliament after the NEC endorses in the next sitting of Parliament. So we will see a workable entity taking ownership of energy and electrification in Papua New Guinea.
You've always been an avid advocate of the electrification of Papua New Guinea. Before you joined the government, you, in your own area in Bulolo, especially with the rural electrification project. So how does this help for the, in terms of reliability, affordability for the Papua New Guinean?
Yes, only 13% of Papua New Guineans are hooked up on the grid. Now, there are many grids that runs throughout our country. For example, the Port Moresby Kwikila, Lay to Mount Hagen, and Ramu to Medang. Along those grids, and recently Talasia to Kimbe. Sorry, Talasia to Biala, I think. Yeah. Along the way, there are a lot of people that are, they look up and they see power line running across, but we never hook them up. So we are now trying to do a catch-up in terms of rural electrifying those houses in the rural areas that are underneath the grid, and the National Energy Department, now we are now looking at powering those places up. Now, we can only afford 1,000 houses this year, and we will continue to do so in the future. But we are applying the minimum supply kit apparatus that has been adopted by PNG Power for a while now. We managed to bring the price down from 750 kina to between 300 to 500 kina. So we are doing direct imports from overseas, approved by PNG Power at the moment, and we will be rolling out those. We are also, once the Energy Department is, Energy Authority is enacted and it becomes a law, we will also encourage independent power producers, and we will also encourage more companies, power companies, to compete with PNG Power to give electricity to people. Now, the IPPs that will come on stream later on, we want to ensure that we harness all the opportunities available in Papua New Guinea, from geothermal to hydro, even coal. We have abundance of coal reserves in Gulf Province. We would like to make sure that we bring electricity down, but also taking into consideration the climatic issue of emissions. We will also conform to our obligations to the international commitments that our environment minister and our government has done in the past. But of course, once we bring the electricity prices down, we want Papua New Guinea to go into downstream activities. Now, we can't produce our limestone from limestone to cement and limestone to glasses. Also, we got iron ores in Papua New Guinea that we have to produce into steel. Of course, smeltering plants for our big gold mines. We do not have enough electricity to do all those. So most of these products are exported overseas. So, if we have cheaper electricity, we can make sure that our industries, Papua New Guinea can become an industrial hub of the Asia-Pacific region.
Okay. Sir, while I have you here, I'd be remiss not to ask you, you mentioned coal. There have been concerns about coal and how unsafe it is for the environment. We have a lot of rivers, we have a lot of big rivers, and there's a potential for hydropower, hydroelectricity. Why bring in coal when we have another alternative, cleaner option?
Yeah, we haven't talked about coal yet, but we must understand that we have abundant reserves of coal in Papua New Guinea that may come into use one day, but there are technologies nowadays that can be fitted into the coal plant to reduce the emissions. And that can be explained further by experts in the industry. But let us understand that while we in Papua New Guinea are talking about climate change, there are nations around us, Indonesia, Australia, they are putting up more coal plants and they are producing more emissions into the air. So as for Papua New Guinea, our percentage of emissions put into the air is less than even 0.1% of China, USA, and those big countries. So we must understand that we need cheap energy. We have to find that cheap energy for Papua New Guinea. We have to use whatever we got in Papua New Guinea. As I've said before, if we go down the coal lane, we have to make sure that we apply the best technology available to make sure that the impact of the emission that goes into the atmosphere must be minimized.
Sure, fair enough. Finally, the Prime Minister, when he was here giving his keynote speech yesterday, he made a fair bit of mention on public-private partnership. How can the private sector help with the, the formation, the partnership between public and private? How can this help to bring affordable, reliable electricity to?
Yes, we have many power plants ready to go under construction. I think the only thing that is holding some of those big plants back is the PPA arrangement, power purchase agreement. We must make sure that the PPAs should be underneath 10 cents. Most of these PPAs or IPPs that are ready to go into PPA are now talking about 15 cents, 12 cents, but we want it down. Now, there are many technologies available overseas, like I just came back from a solar summit in International Solar Alliance Summit in India. There are companies around the world that can bring the power price down to less than 10 cents, even to 5 cents. And they're using renewable energies, solar panels and all this. So it will be very interesting in the next couple of years when we look at all those technologies that will bring the power price down. And this is what we need in Papua New Guinea. We have a lot of potential on hydropower. Now it costs about at least 10 million per megawatt to produce, to build a hydropower plant. So the cost is another factor. Bringing in investors from overseas to come in and invest, we have to set a benchmark, and they all have to come into whatever expectation we have for them in PPA arrangements. Also, we need more retailing of power, which means not only PNG Power will be now the retailer of power. We will also have other companies that may produce power, put into the grid, and also have their own metering system that they will sell power or retail to customers. So those are on the horizon after we enact the bill into law, and the National Energy Authority will function. We will also look at collecting levies on per kilowatt hour to fund the authority. And there are many responsibilities that we'll take back from ICCC, from PNG Power, and we will regulate the industry.
Thank you for that, Minister. Did you have any additional comments?
It's very exciting to take this ministry, and it's like creating a new baby. But it is a very big responsibility, I've just realized. Energy will one day become a department, will become a ministry of its own. But at the moment, I'm housing it under the same ministry as information technology. But as I've said, it's a big monster that we have to, my department have to really nurture it very well to make sure that it becomes an authority that will deal with all the energy aspects of things in Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm Leanne Jorari in Kokopo, and you're watching Business PNG. Mr. Blanchard, thank you for your time. Tell us a little bit about your presentation on day one of the summit.
Thank you for inviting me. The presentation that we've made yesterday was mostly dedicated at informing about Total Group, because we've heard from people that they didn't know a lot about the company, so we wanted to re-emphasize who we were. And with who we were, the key elements that were part of the way we addressed future development. And we made an update on Papua LNG with regards to the different activities that we are conducting at the moment. And also, given also the feedback provided by the other partners, we wanted to tell that we believe technically we have an option that we think is suitable for the project going forward, and now we can move to the next stages. There's still a good bunch of studies to do technically speaking, to confirm where we are today. But there's also some commercial discussions, and we want, as I explained, to engage with the state on the gas agreement negotiation, which is a key topic that we've heard a lot yesterday as well from authorities.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about where it's at right now with the negotiations with the state?
So with the state, we have not engaged, we have not started these negotiations, mostly because we needed to have a technically feasible option that we can come with, because it's going to base the cost of the project, the potential benefits of the project, and then we can have this discussion on the gas agreement, because it will address fiscal, DMO, domestic market. But to be able to have a clear understanding of how we can address these topics, we need to know what kind of development we would like to pursue.
Okay, so a couple of, I'd say years ago, there were some issues with landowners and the people of the Gulf province. Can you give us an update about that?
These issues are still existing. The new governor that has been elected in last year has re-expressed the position of the Gulf province with regards to the location of the LNG plant. We have engaged with the governor. These discussions are still ongoing. I believe that all parties, provincial government, national government, and us, we will find an understanding, because what is behind everything that we're doing and behind the choice that we have made to locate the LNG trains in close to Port Moresby in Cochin Bay is really an economic position, and that should contribute and provide more benefits to all of us.
Okay. I'd be remiss not to ask you, now that I have you here, with the current economic downturn and, with the drop in oil and gas prices, is this a concern to Total at all?
It is the state of the market at the moment is a concern for us, but we have engaged on different ways to address it since 2014. So when it came as very abruptly at the end of 2014, we were almost ready. So and the CEO of the company has engaged the company on a very important program to reduce the costs, and so that we can be resilient and we can go through this downturn. And we also taking that into account in the way we design Papua LNG, to be sure that it is competitive and we can attract all the buyers. That was one of the topics addressed yesterday during the conference. We can attract the buyers that will make that project a reality, because at the end of the day, there are the developers, there are the states. In the state, I have the landowners, the national government, and there will be the external stakeholders like the buyers, but there will be also the lenders. And for people to be convinced to give their money, they need to be convinced by the project, and they will give money to a project that they believe will bring benefits. So this is all the rationale behind what we're doing at the moment.
Okay, all right. And in terms of, you're a French company that's in Papua New Guinea. Obviously there is an attraction here. That's why you're here. This doesn't cause you to cause fear to pack up and leave, or?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's part of our strategy. It's I've said yesterday it's a good project. It's growth for us. No, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. Do you have any additional comments?
No, no. Things are progressing the right way. I think the market is improving, so we have to take advantage of that. Okay. And I think we are all committed, us, the government, all committed to make it happen as soon as possible.
And that's all we have for this episode of Business PNG. For more information, or if you would simply like to view this episode again, visit EMTV online at the URL at the bottom of your screen. Or to simply join the conversation, like our page on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at the Twitter handle at Business PNG. Until next week, have a pleasant evening. I'm Leanne Jorari, and this was Business PNG.